In the last tutorial, we did some panning automation just using the simple method of turning on the right automation of a channel or channels and then moving the controls, in this case, the pan controls. Now I'm going to show you how to edit that information and also how to draw in your own mix automation. And to do that, we're going to go out to our project window. So I'm going to type F3 to get back to our project window, and F3 just closes the mixer. And now we're going to go to those guitar channels that I did the panning on. So I'm going to go to the guitar folder and open up that folder. And the tracks that are read and write automation enabled are the tracks that I did the automation on. But I have a lot of these other tracks that we decided not to use still visible in the project window. So let's make this simpler. I'm going to go to the visibility tab here in the inspector, and I'm going to turn off the visibility of all of the tracks that we ended up not using. So if I just keep clicking these radio buttons to get down to only the tracks that we used, now when I look in my track list, you can see it really cleaned up that list of guitar tracks. It didn't remove them from the project, it only made those tracks invisible. So now let's take a look at these tracks. I'm going to scroll up here just a little bit. So here are the guitar tracks that comprise that solo guitar, and we already did some mix automation on them. Now we're going to edit that automation. Now, in the lower left-hand corner of every single track in the track list, you've got a Show and Hide Automation button. That's going to show or hide the automation lane. So if I click that open, you'll notice that by default, it chooses volume as the automation lane. But there are a whole bunch of different parameters that you can automate, and they'll all show up in this list. Here's the most popular in this list, and if you wanted to get to all of the different parameters on a track, you'd click the More button and choose from any of these parameters. There's so many different parameters that you can automate. So I'm just going to click Cancel here, and I'm going to show you my favorite method for revealing the automation on a track. So I'm going to come to either of those tracks. I'm going to right or control click, and then I'm going to choose Show Used Automation on the selected tracks. And when I do that, you'll notice that both of those selected tracks, and they're selected because they're linked together, but they both now have their automation lanes open, and the panning control, the standard panner from left to right, is visible in both of these tracks. Now, the automation lanes are located directly underneath the track that they are controlling. So now if we come over here to the project window, you can see the automation. And to reveal this a little bit more, I'm going to come to my timeline here, and I'm going to click and drag down on the timeline so that we can reveal more of that automation. And if you wanted to get that information even bigger, you could adjust the height of the automation lanes. So now when we open those up, they're going to be a little bit easier to edit. So these automation lanes allow you to edit any of the data that's already been recorded simply by clicking and dragging on these little donuts on a rope, if you will. But these little donuts are subject to the snap control. You'll notice that my snap control is on right now, which is why when I edited that event, it snapped right to measure 79. So I want to turn the snap off so that now I can freely move that point around in time. But if I wanted to draw in my own automation, I'm going to come to my toolbar and click the Draw tool, which is the pencil, or I could just type 8 on the upper row of numeric keys on my computer keyboard to call up the Draw tool as well. And now when I click and drag across that automation lane, I can draw in new automation. So you don't necessarily have to use the simple method to record the automation data. Instead, you can draw it right into the automation lane. And you should be aware that you can have more than just one automation lane visible. For example, if you wanted to edit some volume automation on that track, you could come to the automation lane's lower left-hand corner and click that little button, and it will open another automation lane. And you could choose any of the other parameters in that list to draw in your own automation. So that's how you can edit and create your own mix automation in the automation lanes. And in the next section, I'm going to tell you about the stereo output fader.